Welcome, everybody, to our webinar today. Today, we are going to talk about how to launch your career in project management. If you are interested in transitioning into a project management role, you are in the right place. We're going to go over a lot of important items to help set yourself up for success. So if you've been here before, we appreciate you coming back. If this is your first webinar, thank you so much for joining us. One of the things that we really like to do at the beginning of a webinar, of course, is to let everyone get situated. And while we wait for people to log into BigMarker and get their bearings about how to use, the chat section and the Q&A section, we like to know where everybody is joining from. So if you don't mind sharing that, that would be great. You can put that in the chat section. The chat section is a really great place for you to, communicate or share any of your other experiences with the other attendees. And the Q&A section is for Q&A. We will be doing a Q&A portion of the presentation after we go through all the content. So if you do have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the Q&A section. Also, if you see a question that somebody else has asked that you are also curious about, please give that a thumbs up. We get through as many questions as we can during these presentations, but sometimes we don't get through all of them. So if we can prioritize them based on how many people would like them answered, we try to do that as well. Some more housekeeping. We are recording this presentation and we will email you a link to the recording and any resources that we have used for the content. So you will be able to play it back and catch up on any notes that you may have missed. And you don't even need to take notes today because we are sending the recap to you. And so you'll have all this information shortly. This information will get emailed to the registered email address. So when you sign up for the webinar, whatever email address you use, that's where the information will head to. Also note, we have pre-recorded the presentation portion of today's webinar, but the Q&A that comes after is live with a career expert. So as long as you're putting your questions in the Q&A and they're ready when we're done with our information, that will be great. We'll be able to get through a lot of information today. So let's talk about exactly what topics we are going to cover. We're going to talk about what is project management. I think that's a good place to start, right? The job outlook for the field. There are some certifications and different education that you may want to consider if you are serious about making a transition into project management. Of course, with any job search and particularly with a career change, networking is a key component, as are the job searching action items like looking at jobs, applying to jobs with your resume, cover letter, and of course, preparing for job interviews. So we'll briefly touch on those topics before we get to the Q&A at the end. So as I said, let's start with what is project management. In a very high level overview, project managers help plan, guide, projects toward completion. And really, there are so many intricacies and little parts of project management that ensure that projects at work are done in a timely manner. And so I've put on the screen some key components of a project manager's responsibilities. Of course, these will vary by industry, but I think everyone will get the idea. A project manager or somebody in a project management like role is going to define objectives and scope of projects. They will create a project plan. They will assign work to the team members and limit the potential distractions that might arise. They will resolve those issues, distractions or otherwise, that come up during the work on the project. Of course, any good project manager is going to monitor the project progress as well as the project budget and be responsible for getting any sign-offs or approvals from other stakeholders working on the project or for the project. So that's a little bit of a high-level overview of some of the key components of their responsibilities. Why do organizations like to hire project managers? Well, for companies, project managers are valuable because with good project management, businesses can reduce duplicate work. They can ensure that the business decisions they are making are the right ones. Of course, they can save time and money, increase efficiencies, things like that. Project managers can really help teams and people align with the goals and business needs and objectives. So that's another reason that companies rely on project managers. And of course, project managers can provide quality control. So, what exactly is the outlook for project management? Well, there is a need for them. Project managers are also, it can be abbreviated to PM. So, if you see that abbreviation, PM, that stands for project manager or project management. But they're an increasingly critical part of business success, as we just talked about on the last slide. And it's estimated that by 2027, businesses will need 87.7 million employees working in project manager type roles. So that's kind of a big deal. And there are, of course, entry level, mid career level, and senior career level roles in project management. This is a broad average that I just found doing some research on salaries for people in the project management career field. So for an early career project manager, project coordinator, associate project manager, the average salary is $60,000. Of course, that's average. So you're going to see ranges below and above that. And for a mid career professional and senior career professional, the average is $95K. Again, you will see salaries that are below that, and you will see salaries that are quite a bit higher than that. There are a lot of things that depends on, but when you're looking into this type of role and where you will start, I think it's good to just have a general idea of the salary average. Here are some of the top industries that use or hire project managers. Of course, this is many industries besides these do also have project management job titles at their companies, but these are the top 10. Construction, manufacturing, finance and insurance, information technology, utilities, oil, gas, law, also energy and utilities companies, as well as consulting companies do hire for project management professionals as well. All right. So that's sort of a high level overview, but how do you prepare to become a project manager? Let's look at some of the skills that are required to be a successful project manager. And first and foremost, just like with any job search or career transition, it's important to take stock of the existing skills you have. Write them down, brainstorm, know what are some of the things that you are really good at. Now, on the slide, you'll see some key skills required to be a successful project manager or a project professional. Leadership, communication, critical thinking, managing teams, problem solving, risk management, cost management, time management, and adaptability and flexibility. So when you do take stock of your skills and look at these skills on the slide, the graphic on the right-hand side of the slide is from the pulse of a project management profession. And one of the things that they say are your power skills or soft skills can elevate leadership abilities and boost your career opportunities. And so some of the skills that you see on the left, like communication, problem solving, collaborative leadership, and strategic thinking are some of the key skills that are the most critical to develop for project professionals. So as you're thinking through your skills and knowing what skills are the most critical for people in this profession, think about how these skills that you have can be applied in a project management capacity. So if you remember the earlier slide, two tasks project managers work on are assigning tasks to others on the team and resolving issues that arise during projects. So what skills that are critical to project management do you have that help you do those two things, resolve conflict or resolve issues and assigning or delegating tasks? So I think the skills on the graphic certainly are required. And if you have those, and the skills on the left too, but if you have those, how would you work through these issues? This is something that would be good to think through for an interview, for example. And we're going to talk about that later in the presentation. But really thinking of these key skills that you have and applying them in a project management capacity can help you really see where you have the transferable skills and know-how to make a move into this field. Now, I mentioned that there are some certifications available for project management. There are several, actually. On this slide, I've shared the two most common certifications for project management. The first one is the CAPM, or the Certified Associate Project Management. This is for more entry-level jobs in project management and could be and may be and probably is a good place to start for many of us who are looking to transition into project management. It does require a secondary degree and 23 hours of project management education before you can sit for the exam. Now, this exam is 150 questions and takes about 3 hours to complete. And it is administered by the Project Management Institute, which is the leading worldwide organization in project management. And it costs about $225 to $300, depending on if you belong to that organization or not. This certification can be a stepping stone to the project management professional certificate. Now, how do you get that 23 hours of project management education? Well, you can find several online courses as well as in-person opportunities as well. Google does offer a project management professional certificate, for example, so you could look into that. Topics covered in that course are things like foundations of project management, project initiation, putting it all together, project execution, agile project management, and then a capstone component applying in the real world. All right. You can also take that course as the required hours experience for the PMP certification, Project Management Professional certification. There are a few differences between the more entry-level certification. In this certification, you need a bachelor's degree and 3 years of professional experience. Or if you don't have a bachelor's degree, 5 years experience without that degree. The exam is a little bit longer. It's 180 questions and 3 hours and 50 minutes to complete. Also, it is a little bit more expensive, $405 to $555. And I think I misspoke. It's 35 hours of education for this before you can take the PMP exam versus the CAPM is 23 hours of education. Also, these job titles that I have on here, project coordinator and associate project manager, are some of those entry-level job titles you might find for a more entry-level project management position. Titles like project management and project director are titles for more senior level career folks. Now, there are more certifications that are available, and I've also put a couple other job titles on here to note as well. Each of these certifications does have different requirements, so you really want to research all of them ahead of time to decide which one you want to pursue, if any, and if that's the route you want to take. But there also is a professional in business analysis, or PBA certification. You can also work to become an agile certified practitioner, which is helpful for project management roles. And a job title that you could explore with those certifications would be business analyst. Of course, you don't have to have a certification to be a business analyst in most cases, but in some you do, and it can help you make your transition. For mid and senior level career professionals, there is the PMP, which we talked about. There's also a CPMP, Certified Project Management Practitioner, and then a CSM, Certified Scrum Master. So if you're more into some technical things, you could be a technical project manager or a senior project manager. So that's sort of a quick rundown on the certifications available for project management careers. The other thing you want to do while you're making this transition is a helpful strategy to prepare for any career change, but is really to maximize your opportunities where you are. So this includes things like taking on projects that you could be a part of in your current role. So you might be able to ask to lead on some things. You certainly want to ask to collaborate on other things as well. building relationships with others on your team and across the organization can really help you, sort of make a name for yourself and let people know that you are interested in work like this. If you are, on a regular cadence with your manager to have check-ins, performance evaluations, or things like that, professional development conversations, this would be a time for you to also take an opportunity to express your interest in that. Then project management usually has some specific technology tools or hard skills that might be required. So it's a good idea to lean into some of those commonly used project management tools like Monday.com, I think Reiki, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Jira and Asana, and of course, industry-specific tools as well. So you can imagine if you're in the construction industry or the marketing industry, there would be specific tools that are used in those industries that you might want to take note of. Job postings are a really great way for you to find what tech tools might be required for the type of project management role you are seeking. And that can help you prioritize where you would start and focus your efforts on some of these tools. Some different career paths. So many project managers start as with job titles like project assistants, project coordinators. I mentioned business analyst, any IT expert type roles, and management support specialists. So you can see these job titles outside of IT experts encompass many different industries as well. And so even if you aren't in one of the top industries that hire project management professionals, you can see that there are parallels from other industries that rely on project support folks and project managers to get the work done. So I just wanted to share this as well. All right. So you're preparing for your transition. You're doing the work required there. You also want to start networking while this is happening. You are currently employed. We talked about maximizing your opportunity at work. One of the strategies you can execute is to network within your organization. So start at your current role. Can you find, or do you already have a mentor? And in those efforts to maximize your opportunities and find other ways to collaborate or work with other people, who are those people at your organization that are involved in helping you do that? These can be the people who could help you chart your course to project management. I also have mentioned previously the Project Management Institute, which is the most well-known organization for project management professionals. So if you go onto LinkedIn, you can do a search for Project Management Institute, and you will find the LinkedIn Learning Group that has over 195,000 members to date. And you can join that group, especially. I think you might need to be affiliated. You have to check this out when you click to join. You might have to answer a couple questions, but you can join that group. I also noticed that there are Project Management Institute local groups, like there's one in Houston. So that might be an opportunity for you to get a little bit more localized. And that way you can start networking with the people who are in those groups. The same goes for any certification programs. If you pursue the Google Project Management Certificate, of course, they have a group as well called Google Project Management Certificate, Network Building and Job Opportunities with 35,000 members to date. And so that's a really great place for you to join and to start connecting with other project management professionals. You'll have people there asking questions and, maybe can lean on people in there. You might see jobs that pop up or ideas for companies to target. So these are some things that you can do there. And we can also continue that networking by running some searches for companies to see if they hire project managers. So think about what industry you might like to pursue. Then search for people who work at those companies who might already be in your network. And then you can take that a step further and look for project managers. So if you log into LinkedIn and type the job title in the search box on the right-hand side of the screen, I typed project manager. You can see people that are project managers that you have in your network already. And then you might be able to reach out with them. They might not work at those specific companies, but they are project managers, and they might be able to do an informational interview with you, how they transitioned, if they did a transition, some recommendations for upskilling, certifications that they recommend, and things like that. If you are looking for jobs using LinkedIn as well, make sure you set job filters and job alerts in the job tab so that you can narrow it down for yourself. So I have a small screenshot here on the left. So I selected experience level of entry level and mid-level and also remote, and typed in the title project manager, and saw some results there. So that's another way to keep tabs on what's going on. And you can set the alert button to on, and anytime a job is posted, you can set that up to be emailed to you. Also, don't forget about your alumni network, your larger social media network, and any upcoming job fair opportunities, either in person or virtual. So you're really sort of putting out a wide canvas of people that might be able to help you as you make this transition. All right, so now we're going to talk job search basics like resume, cover letters, and interviews. So let's dive into how you can set yourself up with your job documents. Well, the first thing you want to do is search and review different job postings. So keywords are a great search term to use, as well as different job titles. And also you want to then connect the dots between what you're seeing on job postings and what you have in your experience. And I just wanted to show a little demo here. So let me just hit play. All right, when you're looking for project management jobs and you come to the FlexJobs page, just really quickly, you could just type in project manager in the search bar and go ahead and do a quick search. Now, if you don't put any other filters in, if you don't put your location in, you're going to see over 7,000, almost 8,000 jobs for project manager. These are jobs that have the title project manager or the words project manager in the job posting. So you certainly do want to use a location to narrow that down to make sure that you will apply to jobs that are within your location. And this narrowed it down to just over 3,500, which is still too many. So you're going to continue to filter. Maybe you want 100% remote work. Maybe you want to be an employee. Now, if you're switching into project management roles, and you know that you want to start at entry level, then select entry level. And that's going to really give you a laser focused list of project manager jobs that are entry level. And with the filters we have in place already, there are 24 of those entry level project manager jobs on the website. If you are a more experienced professional and you want to look at experience level, there are still over 1,200 jobs with project manager somewhere in the job description or job title when you do a search. Now, if you're still looking for entry level, and you remember we talked about some different job titles that might be available. So you could look up associate project manager and run the same search. And there are 575 100% remote employee roles in this location that I chose for associate project manager. And then you can certainly filter this more to the career level that you're looking for, to the job category. So maybe you know that you want to work in let's just pick marketing as an associate project manager, and that will filter it down as well. So one of the things that you want to do when you are doing your job search, as you're getting ready to do your resume, is kind of look through and peruse some job postings so you know and you can tell what types of skills may be required for the types of jobs that you are looking for, because you know you're going to highlight some of your transferable skills. So this is a marketing project manager job description. You can see that there are responsibilities and duties that say things like project manage, support, and help execute marketing strategies. Probably not a surprise. Collaboration, manage marketing programs, coordinate, track, and ensure success of the day-to-day marketing activities for clients. It breaks down into team collaboration and organization. So you want to go through that. Researching, reporting, brand support, and consistency. So there's some categories here that are outlined for this specific job that may help you with your job documents like resume and cover letter. And so in the qualifications and skills section, you can see that they're really looking for somebody with a 4-year degree that has specialties in these certain areas like business, marketing, or journalism. But a proven track record is the key to success. So if you don't have those, that's fine. What you're going to do is share your story in your resume and your cover letter about your proven track record. So 2 years experience managing and coordinating projects in a matrix environment, impeccable organizational skills, great attention to detail, exceptional business writing skills through email, chat, and other collaboration methods, outstanding communication skills with the ability to relate to, empathize, and identify with all personality types. So you're probably getting a sense here of some of these skills that we talked about earlier that are important for project managers or people within that career field: leadership, communication, problem solving, collaboration. So these are the types of things that you want to be looking for. And from here, when you get a sense of what you're seeing on job postings, then you can go to your resume, think about what you're going to add, what key skills you have that are a match, and then you're going to be able to go from there. So it really does make sense to spend a little bit of time looking at some of the jobs that are posted in some of the different industries, the number of years of experience that might be required, and then really taking stock again of your skills and how that applies to those jobs. All right, when you're looking for project management jobs and you come to the FlexJobs. Okay, so what we have next then are the resume piece. So as you look through those job postings and you then think about what you're going to put on your resume, I've highlighted 3 separate sections from a resume that you can consider adding information about your project management skill set. So that would be the professional summary, the education and certifications, if you get those, and the technology section. So starting from the bottom in the technology section, we talked about learning some of those project management tools. So if you know, like Microsoft Project, Jira, Asana, you can add those to your technology section, and you should. If you get a certification, you can put that in the education section. You could even call it the education and certifications section and list project management professional certification underneath your degrees. In the professional summary, you could certainly call out that you are a certified project manager, but you also can highlight some of the other things that you do, like being a strategic thinker, that you successfully collaborate and problem solve to resolution. And then in the skills section, you can see project management, project coordination, leadership, writing, some of the effective verbal and written communication, some of those things that you see on project management job descriptions. Now, cover letters can be a really critical part of the application process, especially for career changers. They really let you shed a bit more light on yourself as a career, on your career, as well as, your career story is what I'm trying to say, in a different way than your resume does. So try to approach a cover letter this way for changing careers into project management. First, briefly acknowledge your change by saying something in your cover letter along the lines of, although successful in my sales career or whatever career, I have realized the aspects of my work I find most rewarding are all in project management functions. The following offers a few highlights of my qualifications, and then you can go into some of those project management qualifications by highlighting transferable skills and including any upskilling you've done to prepare yourself. Make sure you are expressing your passion for project management and the knowledge that you have of the discipline. And certainly don't say anything negative about your past or current career. All right, for interviews, first and foremost, you want to be prepared to answer some of the most commonly asked interview questions, like tell me about yourself, and also have a good handle on your top strengths and a weakness that you might share. Now, this is just a start. There are many more commonly asked interview questions, of course, that you'll want to spend time preparing. But some specific to project management, these questions are related specifically to project management. You might encounter these in your interviews, and those are, can you tell us about the latest project you worked on? How do you prioritize tasks on a project? Tell me about a time something went wrong on a project you were working on and how you handled it. how would you describe a project plan, and then a question about budget management. So it's definitely a good idea to exercise the STAR method when answering these questions during an interview. As a reminder, STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So you are really telling a little bit of a mini story about some of the projects or work you've done that illustrate the answer to the question they're asking and really hit on the key skills required for the job that you are applying for. All right, so what do you do next? First and foremost, you want to make sure you're doing your research. You want to go through your action plan or put together an action plan. You want to complete any certifications or education that is necessary to help make you a more competitive applicant. You want to network and build skills, update your job documents like resume and cover letter, prepare for interviews, and then execute your applications. All right. So before we go into the questions, just a reminder, we have recorded this presentation. We will be sending it to you shortly. Any questions that you have, please put in the Q&A section and upvote any of those questions that somebody's already added to see if that's something you'd also like answered. All right. So let's go ahead and get to our questions. Hey, everybody. It is Tony Prana here, lead career expert with to answer all these questions. Lots of information in this webinar, very high level overview of the steps required to make a transition into project management or how to get started. So let's see what we have for questions. The first one, is it possible to improve your chances of getting a job in project management after finishing the Google Professional Project Management Certificate, or does the PMP certification count more? Well, I think it's tricky to answer that definitively, because I really do think it depends on the company. I think in general the experience is important, and I would put on your resume that you completed the Google Professional Project Management Certificate. Um, that is several hours, or what people complete in order to do the project management certification in terms of taking the test, right? So that's there, and people in the space probably definitely understand that. So I can't say definitively one way or another how a company will weigh both of those things. But it is understood that there is a lot of work that goes into the professional project management certificate coursework. What are the best sources for self-preparing for PMP certification? I think there was some answers to this question. Thank you. David, and he said that he did 3 sample exams from the PMI Study app, watched the YouTube video from Max Mao, and focused on the Agile and PMI questions that he linked by David McLaughlin. And so one of the things that I think this brings up is looking through YouTube and following some of those other links that were going on, or that are mentioned in some of those resources, can be really helpful. Some other things that you can do, to sort of self-prepare. Excuse me, are kind of using those resources that are out there online, and you can find other platforms like Udemy, LinkedIn Learning. Of course, we've talked about PMI's learning platform. Any practice exams or practice questions, of course, self-study with flashcards. Another thing, if you're an auditory learner, there might be some project management like podcasts, or you could maybe through a LinkedIn group find a study group, and that could be really helpful as well. Okay, let's see other questions. Next question. Many companies ask for a PMP certification or equivalent. However, I found, depending on the industry, most companies have their own PM methodology and do not follow the PMP methodology. What are your thoughts on this? I certainly think think based on your question and the way that it's phrased, different industries are going to maybe adapt the PMP methodology to what works best for their industry or their organization. And so my thought would be that having the background or the PMP certification is a really good foundation for somebody coming into a new industry or an organization, um, as a project manager. Those are my initial thoughts. What is the difference between getting Scrum certified and going through the PMI? Are they viewed differently by companies? Which is quicker to obtain to transition into this field? I think that again, it's sort of it depends on the company and what they're looking for. There are different Scrum certifications. There's Scrum Master, Professional Scrum Master, and Certified Scrum Product Owner, and those kind of go in order of Scrum Master would be the entry level Scrum certification, Professional would be the mid level, and Certified Scrum Product Owner would be the highest level. Scrum certifications tend to focus on like that framework, and are ideal for if the company uses or works in a Scrum capacity or with Scrum teams. The PMI certification, like the PMP, is more broad, and it covers a wider range of project management methodologies, including both traditional and agile approaches. Um, I think as far as project management goes, PMP is probably considered the gold standard, recognized across multiple industries. And it's not necessarily, specific to Scrum, but it might incorporate some of that, if you will. Not to say that Scrum isn't widely recognized either. They're both important and they both can, help, progress your goals and efforts to become a project manager. I see program manager and project manager titles being used and sometimes interchangeably. Can you clarify the difference? I can try. I think depending on the size of the company, um, if it's a smaller company, I think these terms could be used interchangeably and may kind of um, overlap a little bit more than in a company that's a little bit bigger. But project managers are responsible for managing specific projects from start to finish, all to include the objectives, the timeline, and all of the deliverables. That's the main focus of a project manager. A program manager would oversee projects and initiatives that are geared towards the broader organizational goal or objective. So I think that's the main difference. Um, Program management. So project managers have a start and end time or timeline, right, for the projects that they work on. A program manager is always going to be managing the projects. With a project manager, those projects change. As one project ends, another one typically begins. All right. Assume you are mid career and haven't had any PM role titles officially, but have gotten several certs, including PMP. Should you be targeting associate junior roles? There are a lot of senior PM roles that really focus on the number of years experience with the title and show progressive title ascent. Please advise. So I think that I will answer this question, but first I want to say that as we talked about in the presentation, the networking component of this and talking to people who are doing this type of work, even if you can find somebody who maybe transition themselves, can be really beneficial when you have questions like this because they're in the space. I think that when you apply to a job, the general rule is you do not have to meet all of the criteria that a company lists in order to be a competitive applicant. So if you have the transferable skills, you have the certification, you have work experience, albeit different than project management, but you can show your progression and you can show that you have the certifications. Even if you don't have the X number of years experience with that title, I think that's perfectly fine. And I would not, in this setting of this question, I don't think I would discourage you from applying to those jobs. I think a company listing their requirements and qualifications is a wish list, and they know 9.999 times out of 10 they're not going to find somebody that meets all the qualifications. So your job as an applicant is to tell a good story, your resume, and lean into a cover letter if you can, to really highlight your transferable skills and the experience that and the experience that you do have in project management, even without having held the title. What percentage of project managers work from home? Any data to support this? I don't have a percentage of all of the project management jobs and how many work from home, but in the presentation, when we were doing the searches, there was over 7,000 listings. So there are plenty of remote work opportunities for project management, to be sure. I have been in grants program management within the healthcare world for the last 7 years. I am nervous about transitioning to a different industry. Healthcare has been my world for 25 years. Any recommendations on how to transition from project management in one industry to project management in another? I think, there's a couple ways that you could go about this. If you want to transition into a different industry, I think it's important to figure out what industry you might want to transition to first and why. Um, because I think that's going to help you tell your story. You have the project management skills in and experience in one industry, and you're going to take those into another industry. But I think you really need to know and understand what industry you want to go to, or better yet, what companies you want to target. And so I may focus some of your search at this point into targeting and focusing on companies and narrowing down what industry you might like to transition to and why. I have worked in college teaching and in IT support. What are some transferable job skills that I can apply for a project management type role? I think teaching is one of those roles where project management lends, it's a very, there are many transferable skills because in teaching, you are essentially managing projects in terms of if you're teaching in college, just take the syllabus that you produce each semester or quarter, whatever you're on. That's essentially planning a project from start to finish. You have timelines, you have deliverables, you have all of the things that a project has in that syllabus. And so that's where I would start with that. I would also, kind of lean into your problem solving, conflict resolution, kind of overcoming stumbling blocks or difficulties. Because as a leader, as a college teacher, you are leading students to help expand their knowledge, and you get to do that as an instructor. And I think those skills are really easy to lean on in project management. One question I saw that I want to make sure, excuse me, that we answer is if you are working on your project management certificate, what is the best way to indicate on your resume that you have taken the 35 education credit class for PMP certification and will be taking the test in 2024? This is a great question. So for any of you that are in progress on your PMP certification, you can simply put PMP certification in progress, and you could put in parentheses expected completion 5/2024 or whatever that might be, and you can put that in your education section. You could throw it in the end of your profile summary sentence, and so you have that on your resume, PMP certified or PMP certification, and it's noted that it's in progress and then that the expected completion date. So you don't have to word that you've got the 35 education credits. You could just say in progress, certification test in 2024. I think if you can be specific to put a month and the year, that is the most beneficial, because if you just put 2024, essentially someone could think, oh, well, what does that mean? January or December? And there's a long time in between those. Let's see. All right. I've had 18 years of grants management with the government in disaster recovery, which is project management in a sense. That's what I was thinking too. How do I transfer the correct words to show project management? So what I would do is I'm going to plug two things. First, the exercise that I would do for yourself is what are the key skills and requirements or knowledge that you have to work in grants management in disaster recovery, and how do they translate to project management? So you've got to write your list down. The other thing I will say is you can use a tool like Chat GPT to help you identify certain transferable skills. So if you're looking at your resume, or if you want to ask Chat GPT this specific question, I have 18 years of grant management with the government in disaster recovery. What transferable skills does this lend for a career in project management? And that can help the brainstorming going. Certainly, as a grants manager, from a high level, what I know is you are, again, managing the projects, right? You have deliverables, you have deadlines, you have timelines, you have different objectives that you're trying to meet. So essentially, you are project managing a grant. For the government. And so that's something that each job posting that you look at, the highlighted skills or the skills that you're going to highlight are going to be a little bit different based on what you're seeing in the job posting. So let the job description be your guide too, as to what you highlight when you fill out your resume or update and tailor your resume and cover letter for that job. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me today. I know we're a little bit over. I hope everyone got some helpful information from this. Good luck to all of you. As always, thank you for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week with more webinars and topics, and we're always excited to see you in Big Marker. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.